Relationships can be our biggest teachers in life, especially karmic relationships or trauma bond, where there is this narcissist empath dynamic. These relationships, which are often characterized by very high highs and then very deep lows, and cycle of abuse, love, abuse, can be so addictive. Now, whether it is a romantic relationship, whether it is a friendship, whether you have this dynamic going on with a family member, maybe your mom, maybe your parents, people around you trigger you, that is something for you to look at, because people around us are mirrors. There is a shadow aspect in us that is resonating with the shadow aspect of this other person. We always have to understand that the world works in frequencies, in resonance. If we are in a relationship where we get abused, there is something in us that is resonating with this. And simply walking away is avoiding the problem. What in you was resonating with this shadow though? And if you walk away, maybe another person occurs in your life that is reflecting the same behavior back to you, and another person and another person, until you do the work, the self-reflection on what in me is resonating with this type of abusive, triggering behavior. No, if people abuse you, you just need to walk away, blah, 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 blah. And yes, maybe putting up a boundary and walking away is the lesson that you're supposed to learn in this dynamic. Especially for the people like me that have been in very toxic romantic relationships with a narcissist empath dynamic, dating a narcissist. These relationships are so addictive. It's like, you know it's not right for you. You know you're not getting treated in the way that you want to, yet you find yourself gravitating towards them. And I think it gets this addictive quality, literally like a drug. It's like, you know it's not good for you. You know there's going to be a come down effect, but still you want it. You want the highs. And I think this effect comes from this alternation between the highs and the lows, which plays into your attachment style. So because you get deprived from the good love sometimes, and it gets so horrible and abusive, whenever it then gets good again, you sort of disregard every bad thing that happened, because it finally feels so good to receive some of their love and appreciation. And this is what narcissists do. It is a very tactful, not always consciously, sometimes subconsciously, dynamic that they put you in, where you start to become addicted to their love, because sometimes it's not there, sometimes it's just the abuse and the horrible treatment. And then whenever it gets good again, you become so excited and happy that even though the good is the bare minimum often, right? It's what you would get in any other stable relationship. It feels so good to finally be loved and acknowledged. And another thing the narcissist does is it really works on your self-worth. They really put you down. They make you feel small. They talk you down. They make sure that your confidence shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Because this again plays into this addictive quality of the relationship. Now, first I want to talk about the purpose of relationships in our life that trigger us. Whether it is our mom, and our parents are sometimes our biggest triggers. I get a lot of comments as well, but my parents, how can I leave them? Hi, welcome to planet Earth. Your parents are put there sometimes, oftentimes, to be one of your biggest triggers, because they are the ones that can really push your buttons. Even if you dissolved already a lot of your ego, they are the ones who know how to dig into your ego and still bring it out. So if you overcome being triggered by your parents, then you're already in a very advanced level. So, but it could be friendships, sisters, brothers, romantic relationships, any person on the street really that triggers you. You have to understand this. If that person triggers you, that means there is an insecurity in you, a button in you that gets pushed. And we can point the finger and be like, yeah, but that person treated me in that way, that person treated me in that way. But we have to understand that the world works in mirrors. Everyone around us is just reflecting something back to us. Doesn't necessarily mean we possess the exact same quality, but they're reflecting a shadow or an insecurity back to us. This is literally how life and relationships works. Everyone around us is like a mirror, because We like to think of all of us in separate beings, but actually we are all one. We are one consciousness that is moving through this time and space. And if you understand that truly, you understand that all relationships are resonance of frequencies. So if you're resonating with someone that is emotionally abusing you, especially when it comes from childhood, it is a very deep pattern that almost gets instilled in you as a thing that to some extent feels good to you. It is for you to look at that shadow part of you. It is for you to ask yourself questions of, why is this resonating with me? What do I get out of it? Or what in my self-worth currently is doubting myself that I'm even prone to someone treating me in this way? And if we don't do the self-reflection and we simply are like, oh, let's just walk away from this. I don't want to deal with people that abuse me. Good, amazing, but this pattern can repeat itself and just occur in different people. Now, we get all born on this earth with karma, karmic debt, right? Specific energies that we are being invited to transmute, dark energies, and we're being invited to transmute them in light. Now, the best way God has chosen to bring out these karmic energies is through relationships. So sometimes we end up in very strong karmic bonds with people, whether it's romantic friendship or maybe just a family member. And these karmic bonds are like trauma bonds. There's resonance, but there's not resonance in the positive frequencies like in the frequencies of love. No, there's resonance of trauma. There's resonance of shadow aspects of herself. It is like every person consists of light and darkness to different degrees. But these trauma bonds and these karmic bonds are the resonance of the darkest parts of us. They really are resonating. And why does this happen, right? Like, why do we need this karmic relationships, which are often much stronger than the lighter relationships that resonate on the good parts? It is because we are being invited to look at our shadows. We are being invited to face our own shadows through these karmic relationships, through these trauma bonds, right? And if we simply keep thinking, yeah, but the other person is at fault, the other person is this, especially when you're the empath and you're dating a narcissist, been there, done that, still going through a cycle, another one. It's so easy to think, yeah, but they're being horrible to me, but they're being this to me. Okay, darling, yeah, but why is this resonating with you? Why are you addicted to this cycle? What shadow in you feels good to some extent? And I know this is a harsh saying, feels good with the abuse. What part of you is resonating with it? And unless we go to the core and really explore what shadow in us, perhaps lack of self-worth, perhaps the need to fix people, perhaps a very insecure attachment style, what in us is resonating with this type of manipulative, emotionally abusive, controlling energy that is forming the karmic bond? So again, these karmic and trauma bonds are the resonance of the shadow aspects of ourselves. And until we heal those, until we actually look at those shadow aspects in ourselves and transmute them into the light, this will keep happening. You know, me, myself, I had been in a very toxic relationship years ago. And now recently I got into another romantic thing. Again, same pattern, same dynamic. And I was like, wow, I thought I healed from this. I thought I didn't have to do this anymore. And I already walked away from it once. Why was it so hard for me to do it again? And then I realized, well, Davy, clearly there's something in you that invites this into your field. If the same thing happens again, it is something in you that keeps resonating with this. Is it a fear of a stable love? Is it an attraction to the chaos? Is it an insecurity in a lack of empowerment in my solar plexus? And then this is another thing, especially when it comes to karma and traumatic bonds. Feel in your body where it hurts you. Right? I notice with these karmic trauma bonds, it's like my solar plexus, my stomach, I get like digestive problems and everything here clenches. It's because your empowerment is being taken away. So truly understand the purpose of these trauma bonds. They're a very essential, crucial part of life. They're here to invite you to look at your shadows. And let's talk a little bit about parents, because parents can be an immense trigger. And this is varies to degrees. Like maybe for some people, their parents are so horrible to them, it is actually the best choice to completely cut ties and walk away. I've seen this happen in my own family, not me with my parents, but in my family, I mean. Sometimes that is the best solution when people can really not change. But for most people, we just have to accept that parents play a big role in your life, meant to trigger you. Your parents are meant to trigger you. Like, stop complaining about it, stop whining about it. Like, it is like your parents are very specifically karmically put into your life to push specific buttons in you in order for you to really look at yourself. On this earth, right, we're being invited to grow and evolve into our spirit, into our soul, release our ego, release our personality. Now, even if we do this to a large degree, our parents then still have the capacity to bring out our ego, to trigger it, and to really scratch the last bits of ego that are left in you. And what I want you to practice with is remind yourself in those moments where you get triggered of how much you love them. Remind yourself that they're also just on this earth walking this journey. Just remind yourself of the good moments that you have with them. That even when they're criticizing you and trying to change you, because this is the main triggering thing about parents. Like, as a child, they have the capacity to change us a lot, and we allow it because we're children. Then we grow up, and parents never really lose this habit. They are always still trying to change you, control you, tell you what to do. And as the ego develops during puberty and in adulthood, you're like, well, no, you can't tell me what to do anymore. But grow out of this puberty ego phase, please, and grow into maturity where you can release your ego and see that every time your parents are trying to tell you what to do, they're loving you. They care about you. They're controlling you because they care about you. And maybe for some people, it is a very uncomfortable feeling of receiving care, understood. But we really have to make peace with the fact that it doesn't come from a bad intention. They're trying their best, they're trying to love us. So remind yourself in those moments where you get so annoyed and irritated because your mom or dad is doing something, or sister or brother or family member is triggering you and telling you what to do, or trying to change you, or thinking they know it better. And they really have the capacity to bring out your ego, right? They really, more than any friend, more than any romantic partner sometimes, or romantic partners are sometimes really high up there as well. But they really have the capacity to bring out your, no, I'm right. No, what you're saying. No, stop trying. They really have the capacity to dig out those deep parts of your ego. Amazing. You're being invited to even heal those, clear those. And how do you do that? Step above it. It doesn't matter who is right. No one wins. Even if you're right, no one wins. Even if you're right towards your loved one, you don't feel pleasure eventually. It's just the ego that wins, but on a soul level, it doesn't feel good. Train yourself to have the capacity to rise above that by just simply in those moments of trigger, remind yourself of how much you love them. Now, some tips to break karmic bonds, to break trauma bonds. Let's get a little bit spiritual here, because honestly, I feel like that is needed in sometimes in terms of breaking these trauma bonds. One thing that I'll say that is more practical is talk about it with other people. The less you talk about it, the more you are prone and subjected to their manipulation, and you really get sort of sucked up into their reality and view and world of things. And once that happens, it becomes even harder to get out of. So really talk about it with other people, get their opinion, get their reflections. You don't have to listen to it, but at least you're not only listening to the perspective of the abuser, of the narcissist, because that can really manipulate you and drag you back in and make you believe, because they also make you believe that you're at fault, these narcissistic manipulative people. So really make sure that you talk about it with other people. Secondly, do some energy work. Like if you're with this person where you have this karmic trauma bond with, you can feel in your body where it hurts you. For me, it was the solar plexus. and really try to breathe energy into your stomach area to empower yourself, and think about empowering yourself. Think about giving yourself that strength back. Think about how important your opinion is and feel that strength and try to act from that energy. Thirdly, I would honestly suggest doing a ritual, maybe lighting some candles, doing some prayer and meditation, some energy chakra cleansing, and then just getting a piece of paper, writing down their name, writing down your attachments to them, and burning it, ritually burning it, especially around the full moon now coming up 22nd, which is always a time of release. Release the bond, break the bond. Ask God for the lesson in this. What are you being invited to look at the shadow? And then when it gets presented to you, the answer could be immediately, could be in a little while. Try to work on it. Try to sense into it. What in you was resonating with this. And this burning ritual, so writing it on a piece of paper and burning it, can be really powerful. That can break energies. We are energy workers here on this planet. I don't know if now I'm getting too woo-woo, but this is the reality of it. We are energy beings. We have powers to work with our energy, to cleanse our energy, to empower ourselves, to break karmic bonds, to break cycles. We can do this once we become these conscious energy light workers. And yeah, that is the last thing that I want to end with today. Also note, I still am doing 5-week identity shifting course for people that really want to change their life. This is the time I need in order for you to actually make a change, with some daily exercises that would only take you 30 minutes to an hour a day. In a period of 5 weeks, I can help you change your life, manifest your dream life, get into alignment with your highest timeline. Link is in the description if you want to find out more about that. I truly, truly appreciate you listening to me. I love you. And leave me a like if there was anything useful. Subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you and I love you. And I love to see you in my next video. Sending my love.